This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Made it to another Friday, and we've made it to the start of the NFL preseason. Not counting the Hall of Fame game, yesterday was the start of the NFL preseason. We had a couple games, and we're going to have some more games today. And if we can make it to tomorrow afternoon, we're going to have our first Seahawk game. We are about 31 hours away from the first Seattle Seahawk game of the year. It may not count in the standings, but we're going to get to see some guys in Seahawks uniform take on guys in Chargers uniform. Going to LA to take on the Chargers in the first preseason game. I'm excited. Now, I'd be more excited for a regular season game, but you know what? It's been a long time since we've seen these guys suit up and take the field for the Seahawks. So I'm definitely going to get a lot out of this game. And I think if you're watching this video, you probably are too. There's something out there to learn. We can learn stuff tomorrow afternoon. So we're going to have to discuss a little bit what we're looking for, try to figure out what to watch for, try to figure out if we should get excited for stuff, trying to figure out what to hone in on as Seahawks fans. So I'll talk a little bit about this matchup, at least as much of a matchup as it's going to be. Obviously, we know we're not going to be seeing Geno Smith, and we also know we're not seeing Justin Herbert on the other side, so it's not going to be all the starters, but there's probably going to be some action out there. So let's dissect this matchup as much as it can be dissected. But before we get to that, I want to real quickly talk about my friends over at BetUS, because you might be the kind of guy who likes to bet on the NFL preseason. You might be that sick. You might be that much of a sicko. And if you are the kind of guy who likes to bet on preseason games, I recommend you do it over at BetUS. You can go over there right now before this game starts and bet on the Seahawks versus Chargers preseason game. You can get money line -170 Seahawks. You can get the spread -3.5 at -115. You can bet on the total 35 points. You could bet on the Chargers side of things if you're feeling particularly frisky. So it's totally up to you. But however you bet, you should definitely do it over at BetUS. They boast the fastest payouts in the industry. 125% sign-up bonus up to $2,000 on your first 3 deposits. 200% crypto deposit bonus. Fast and easy deposit and withdrawal process. They are the best sportsbook on the internet. But don't just take my word for it. Let's ask Michael Vick.
Michael Vick here at BetUS.com. Get it all. Huge bonuses, great odds, a race book, live in-game betting, and a casino. BetUS, my online sportsbook and casino.
All right, so get over to BetUS and get to some gambling. Now, let's talk about the Chargers a little bit. Let's talk about what we're going to be bringing to bear in LA tomorrow afternoon. Without Geno Smith out there, we know we're not going to see the whole offense. Mike McDonald already indicated that because there's no Geno, you won't see all the starters on offense. And that makes sense. What's the value? What is the point of playing all your starters on offense when you don't even have your quarterback out there? The stuff that you learn from those starters is not necessarily going to be valuable, because when you're not playing with that quarterback as a receiver, yeah, you're getting reps out there, but you're not getting reps with your guy, with the guy who's actually going to be throwing you the ball when the regular season starts. So it's good. Maybe you get out there a little bit, but if you're somebody like a Tyler Lockett or even a DK Metcalf and you've been in the league for several years now and you're a veteran, you don't necessarily need these reps. If you're somebody like a Laken Tomlinson who's been in this league for over a decade, you probably don't need these reps. So we'll see exactly how this shakes out. We know we're getting Sam Howell. That's going to be interesting. Sam Howell obviously could be the future here in Seattle. I personally kind of doubt it. I have my question marks there, but it's possible. And seeing how he plays in a preseason game like this is going to be the first step. So I'm definitely interested to see what happens with Sam Howell in this game, especially if he gets to play behind a relatively, how should I put this, competent offensive line. We'll put it to you that way. I'm not going to say anything more than that because I don't think the ceiling on this offensive line is that high. But if he can get behind Charles Cross, if he can get behind Anthony Bradford, and Bradford's playing better than he played last year, if he's getting behind maybe even a guy like a McClendon Curtis, and Curtis's improvement over the offseason so far is legitimate, then we'll get a chance to evaluate him. So I'm excited to see what Howell can do. But I think there's a few things going on offensively that are even a little more interesting than that. So I really want to see what's going on at the back of the running back room, because George Holani supposedly is pushing Kenny McIntosh for the third running back role, and might even be pushing him as like a third down back, which would be really tough on McIntosh, because third down back is that's kind of his destiny in the NFL, isn't it? That's kind of what he should be looking to do. So both those guys should get to play a good amount tomorrow. I want to see who looks better, because obviously Holani's a little bit more of a power back, and it seems like he's a bit of a better blocker, but McIntosh brings a very interesting, varied, and different skill set to the table, where he can play wide receiver more or less. Like, there are receiving backs out there. Kenny McIntosh, it would be fair to call him like a receiver running back hybrid almost. So we need to see what happens in this preseason. And if Holani jumps McIntosh, yeah, that's great for Holani. That says that he's doing really well. It also doesn't really say anything good about McIntosh. He was on the team last year. He should be getting first dibs at that third spot. Not that either guy's going to play a ton, but the third running back's going to play some, especially when somebody gets hurt. But I want to see what those two guys can do. I would assume you're not going to see a ton of Walker or Charbonnet. So both those guys should get decent opportunities. Both those guys should get some burn. Charles Cross, obviously, he's had such a good training camp so far, according to just about everybody. He looks really good out there. In this game, he should have a chance to go up against some really good players. I don't know if the Chargers are going to play Bosa. I wouldn't think so. But you've still got Khalil Mack. He might get some reps against Khalil Mack. And Thule. Now, Thule's a little bit more of an inside player, I think, most of the time. But you might see Cross get a couple reps against Thule. He had a good year last year. He was a good rookie last year. So he'll be challenged a little bit, and I'm excited to see that. If Christian Haynes gets out there, that's going to be really interesting, because he's got basically a month to take the starting job. I think he can do it, but he's going to have to really play well in these preseason games, because they're looking at Bradford and they're thinking that guy has NFL experience. And the other thing that I think is really interesting here, probably even more important than the Sam Howell thing, would probably be what's going on at the back end of the receiver core. D. Eskridge, he's got to be on his last life at this point, right? If he doesn't start making big plays in the preseason, he's out of here, because these other guys are. And if we watch this preseason game and it's Cody White and it's Derek Young and it's Laviska Shenault making the plays when the third string gets out, when the second and third string gets out there, then Eskridge is basically going to be, he's out of time at this point, right? Because those are the guys who are looking good in camp so far. So I think that those are the main things that matter out there, right? Like, it doesn't really matter what DK Metcalf does. He's making the team, but it matters what a guy like Derek Young does. All right, so that's the offensive stuff. That's interesting. I think the defense definitely has to be the more interesting side of the ball here. Both sides are learning different stuff, different schemes, different setups, with McDonald coming in with his defense and Grubb coming in with his offense, but the defense supposedly is going to have a lot of starters playing. So probably going to get to see Byron Murphy, which is going to excite a lot of people. Probably going to get to see Witherspoon, Woolen, Jenkins, Love. You're going to get to see Dodson. You're going to get to see Nwosu, Mafe. You're probably going to get to see pretty much everybody. So what I'm looking for in this game, I want to see, assuming he plays, how they use Jaron Reed. Is he playing the nose, or is he playing like that defensive end type role? Is he playing that 3-tech role? Because he looked better at nose tackle last year than he did at the 3-tech type role previously. But I have wondered before if maybe he's just too small to play nose tackle in McDonald's defense. And I'm interested to see exactly how that plays out. And if he is playing 3-tech, what are we doing with snaps with Hankins and Cam Young and not Gotel anymore, actually. Gotel's out. Gotel got hurt. So what are they going to do with the nose tackle reps at that point? Are they going to play Hankins a ton of football? And if they are, is that a good idea? So I'm interested to see how they make things happen on the defensive line here. Is Byron Murphy going to play significant nose tackle reps? Is that how they're going to make ends meet if Reed's playing 3-tech? Derek Hall, I think, is actually one of the most compelling players tomorrow. His ability to get to a point where he's able to positively contribute for like 20 snaps a game is a big deal. That allows us to maybe do something with Darrell Taylor. That allows us to maybe do something with Nelson Caesar even. That allows us to, and by doing something with Darrell Taylor, I mean not having him on the team anymore. With Caesar, I more mean having him be the 4th edge. But everything falls into place if Derek Hall can give you good reps. And he's going to be going against potentially Joe Alt. I don't know if they're going to play Rashawn Slater at all, but you're presumably going to get some Joe Alt, which, I mean, he's a beast. So that's exciting. I think those are the main things I'm looking for in the front 7. I will be watching Dodson, of course, but without Baker out there, because Jerome Baker's not playing, I don't know how much of that is going to be educational. And it's kind of tough because that Chargers team is going to run the heck out of the ball this year. They're going to run the ball a ton, and we don't have our key inside linebacker for this game. They might just run all over us, and there's not much that we can do about it. Other than that, I mean, obviously I want to see if Trey Brown's really good training camp carries over, but at the same time, I've seen Trey Brown play good football for a while now. So it's not like if he didn't look that good, I would be worried about it or anything like that. I would just be like, oh, he had a bad day. Let's see what happens next week. And he's looked so good in training camp. If he had a not so great preseason game, I wouldn't worry about it. Same with Woolen, right? It would be good to see him play well. It would be good to see him locked in, maybe make some play in the run game that proves that he's ready to go and that he's changed from last year a little bit. But if we don't see it, I'm not exactly going to panic about it. I want to see schematically if we're doing stuff with 3 safeties, because we know Jenkins and Love are the safeties. Kayvon Wallace Kayvon Wallace has looked really good in camp so far, supposedly. And if this keeps up, he's going to force his way onto the field in one way or the other. Maybe it's going to be as a 3rd safety. Are we going to do 3 safety looks? And if so, how does that jive with the rest of the defense? That would be very interesting to see. I want to see who plays nickel corner in this game as well. Is it going to be Witherspoon, or are we going to bump Witherspoon outside full-time and play somebody like Artie Burns inside? Is it going to be somebody... Do we try Trey Brown inside? That's going to be really interesting. And I'd also say kick returns, both who is returning kicks and punts for the Seahawks, but also how the Seahawks defend the new kick return, because I really think the new kick return is going to throw some people for a loop. So those would be my main things to focus in on in this game. Obviously, we're going to be watching everything, but those are the things that I want to see go well. And if they go well, I'm going to be more encouraged going forward. I mean, the Chargers, they're not going to be bringing all their stuff as well. We're not going to get to see this team against Justin Herbert. It's going to be Easton Stick, who we saw a little bit of Easton Stick last year, and it was what it was. Presumably, we're not going to be seeing some of their other better veteran players. Like, I don't know why they'd play Bosa. I don't know why they'd play Mac, but there's going to be some good stuff out there. I'm excited to see it. So that's my pregame for this Chargers game. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I recommend you guys look for. But let me know what you guys are looking for down below. Once again, I want to thank BetUS for sponsoring this video and recommend to everyone that you give them a look. Please gamble responsibly. Probably another video later today, but if not, I'll see you guys on stream later today, and I will see you guys tomorrow before and after the game. All right. Go Hawks. Everyone have a good day.